Hello and welcome in. I am MissKinghorn and we are back here in The Sims 4 and we are here in Brindleton Bay and we're actually building in the Sable Square neighbourhood, which is kind of like the residential kind of suburban area of this world. So yeah, we're working on a 30 by 30 lot, which I've got to be fair is probably one of my favourite sizes to build on. It just really works, and especially for a build like this that we're working on here, which is a bit of a Cape Cod kind of styled build for really my kind of world series that we're kind of creating over here. I feel like I've gone on a bit of a tour, and now we're kind of in Massachusetts. I've got to be honest, when I think of Cape Cod, I don't really think of kind of America. I'm thinking more Canadian. I don't know if that's just me, but I was kind of thinking that they were more that area. I don't know, let me know. But apparently, having consulted the Google, they are in fact far more found in Massachusetts. So yeah, that's what we're working on here. But we are doing this for a single sim and his 2 dogs. What I kind of was thinking when I was creating this was that it was somebody who's recently lost their wife, having been married for like 30, 40, kind of 50 odd years, and they've got their 2 adorable Labrador or Golden Retrievers, and he spends a lot of time with them, and yeah, that's kind of what I had in my mind when I was sort of working on this in here. But obviously you can play however you want. This does actually end up being a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom home. So I kind of thought they maybe have like grandchildren who come to stay at grandparents for like the weekend or overnight or during school holidays, things like that. So I've kind of done a basic, I guess you could probably say, kids bedroom upstairs. It's a twin room, but you'll sort of see as we go along how that is. But I didn't envisage them being there full time, and I didn't particularly want them there all the time, I've got to be honest. So yeah, that's kind of what we're working on here. But then the main bedroom is downstairs in there. So you can see, while I have been waffling along, we have been busy working on this sort of shell in here. So we have got really nice dormer windows, we've got double chimneys, a really nice sort of sliding kind of roof in here with lots of different sort of angle pieces and stuff like that on it as well, and large front and back sort of porch areas as well for lots of bits and pieces and different things out there. And now we're getting in some of this gorgeous red brick. I really wish we had more of this in more kind of neutral kind of sort of that kind of match in with the stairs, because they're close but they're not quite in here. But now we're working on the front landscaping, which I went for a kind of a really nice loose kind of boxy kind of head sort of bushes to form a kind of soft kind of flower bait kind of area in here around both sides that don't really match in. They're kind of a little bit different, kind of full of shrubs and things like that, and I thought this worked in here really well. The only problem, the plants that I've used, they don't do well when they are sort of scaled down. They kind of have like a big shading kind of darker area around them, which is a bit of a shame, but I think together they kind of all work in here and I didn't have any problems with them. So yeah, let's get the planting inside sorted. So as I said, I wanted lots of sort of big shrubs. There's not much colour in here, but we also get in a couple of trees just to kind of finish off that sort of area and give it a little bit more height in there. But they're also trees that you find in the world, so I do try to keep the planting as kind of natural to the environment as I possibly can. So we actually have these trees from quite a few packs now, but they originally came in with sort of Brindleton Bay, and they have like, oh no, I think that was the Brindleton Bay, or were they seasons? I can't quite remember actually, but they have like different colours, sort of like the autumn reds and golds and things like that, which I am definitely ready for autumn. I've got to be fair, here in the UK, a lot of our trees are already losing their leaves. It feels like autumn's come a little bit early this year, although we are about to have our 4th heat wave of the year. So yeah, that's fun, not. Anyway, moving on to this house in here. We are using these big sort of windows in here with big shutters. I thought these would provide a really nice lot of sort of lighting coming through. And then upstairs we use some of the smaller windows, but in the same sort of style in there. I didn't particularly want to use the shutters from Horse Ranch because you have to kind of use so many of them and it just becomes a whole big sort of thing in there. And then we've got some nice red flowers on the top here as well, just to kind of add in that extra little pop. And we do get some red flowers into the outside planting as well. So yes. So having some hanging baskets, I kind of feel like these are just a really nice little touch, little nod that we can get into this sort of build in there. I feel like because they're all outside as well, they would kind of get sort of the rain and things like that. There may be plants that they don't want to hang or to have sort of in the ground, but they're just sort of like pot plants or something like that kind of thing in there. There are a couple that are more sheltered, but then they have gorgeous nice plants on, flowers on them as well. Moving on to the back garden here, I wanted a really nice fenced area. So as I said at the beginning, I knew I was going to have 2 golden retrievers. I keep calling them Labradors, but they're not. Golden retrievers in here. So I wanted a nice sort of fenced in area for them to kind of be able to run around safely, I guess you can probably say, in here. But we're also going to bring in some of the planting from the front sort of area. Again, kind of low maintenance kind of garden. I feel like it's very shrubby. It's kind of something that maybe you would have to come along and just like cut the bushes down once or twice a year, and then you wouldn't really have to do anything else with it, which I think, given the fact that I was creating this for an elder sim, that's kind of what I would imagine, or I would envision somebody of this sort of generation and this age kind of having in their garden as well. But then it's also very sort of nice and dog friendly, lots of room to run around and things like that. And I love this shrub. It actually came from Enchanted by Nature, and I don't know if it actually came as a proper plant or if it's just a debug plant. But yeah, there is 2 versions. I think there's a yellow one and a red one, and there's red in here. Again, works very well with the sort of colours we've got outside. And yeah, another tree in the back garden, and we also get in the big sort of bench as well. And now we get in all of the dog sort of toys and things like that. So I have scaled up the football for them because I feel like, you know, maybe they have like a little bit of a kick around, maybe they have sort of time to play around, sort of like even between the 2 dogs necessarily, they can play around in there, but also getting in the dog agility stuff as well. But now we're moving over to the floor plan. Now this took a while. I have to be honest, this was a bit of a pain. Yeah, I struggled. And it doesn't really change too much from here actually. But this is like version 2. I think because the upstairs, and you'll see it here, is a really weird odd shape. This is where I had a lot of trouble trying to get the stairs in, trying to kind of work out how I could get as much as I could out of this build. So you can sort of see here, I settled on that. So 1 bedroom is upstairs with 1 bathroom, and then there is another bedroom and bathroom downstairs, basically on the right hand side of your screen right now. That is kind of like the main bedroom sort of suite in there. So yeah, I have to be fair, and I'm going to tell you right now, and I'm probably going to tell you when we do it as well, this kitchen I love. I absolutely love this kitchen. So yeah, brace yourselves because I spend a lot of time in this kitchen and it's probably one of my favourites that I've done in a while, I have to be honest with you. So yeah, anyhow, now we are fiddling around with this roof. It kept clipping out, and the same on this side. I don't know why, it just needed to be moved down just a tad into there. But now we have kind of finished with all of those. What we're going to do is jump into really finishing the interior of this build. And so we are working here on the entranceway. I wanted a lot of space for this. I wanted kind of a lot of ability to move around this build, and I did that for really two purposes. So one, this is a build for an elder sim. Although it is quite modernly furnished, I've got to be fair, it's not like a dated property or anything like that. I feel like it is very modern, but I wanted them to be able to kind of future-proof it in any kind of way, hence why there's the downstairs bedroom, hence why there's lots of sort of space for your sims to move around in here. And do I dare say it may well be wheelchair-proof? Obviously you have the stairs at the front, but you could probably easily get a ramp using a roof in for that. I didn't really think about that at the time, but we've now had a survey by the Sims team after I built this, gotta be fair, but before doing this voiceover, where they wanted to know about disability and accessibility and culture, and which, I've got to be fair, if that's what they're working on, I am totally here for it. I've got to be fair. I think we definitely need more disabilities and sort of the accessibility that goes in with them as well into the game, and it's something I've been saying for a very long time. So I'm happy with that in there. Obviously it's gonna take a while. It's not something that they're working on maybe right now for like the next expansion pack or the next update or something, but I can sort of see them getting it through in a couple of sort of updates or maybe a year's time, that sort of thing. I feel like they need to actually work on it and not rush it, which I feel like a lot of sort of the base game updates sometimes are. Terrain was kind of a pet project, I think, by one of the creators, and then I think they left just after it was put into the game, and it was like, this is stage 1, we're going to work on it, but then nobody did, and it feels very half done now, I've got to be honest. So yeah, I'm hoping that they actually spend some time and research it and kind of look into how they do all of that properly so that it is done, finished, sort of complete. But anyway, I have been waffling. That is the living room sort of all done. I really like how the sofas and then the darker wooden furniture kind of all come together with this sort of light green, kind of minty kind of colour that I've gone for in the interior. I felt like it was just really nice, calming, relaxing kind of in there, so I really wanted all of that in. And now, because we have the two fireplaces or chimneys on both ends, I've put in the fireplaces. We do actually get one into the bedroom as well, but this is the kitchen. I love this kitchen. Anyway, it is such a big space, but you'll see here it is also the dining room. So I placed the dining room table early, and this is because I really didn't know how much space I was going to really have with this room. In the end, we sort of changed it all around, and yeah, we managed to get in an island and a dining table in here, which I think is super good. But as you can see here, I cheat slightly, so this is the only thing that's not actually usable in game, is this sort of bench here. You have 4 seats at the table, but the bench doesn't work. You can't actually access it because of the island behind it, and the table is kind of overlapping it. I really want to see more of those kind of bench seating options. I feel like they were a whole big sort of thing a couple of years ago, and I really sort of wanted just to add that into the game in here, and I feel like it really works with that kind of like island that's like not finished, I guess you could probably say. It's just got that flush back to it in there with the two-tonal kind of worktops as well. Again, trying to just darken this house up a little bit. It felt a little bit, with the white, it felt a little bit too bright. So yeah, that is in here. Now the counters we use are from the holiday update that we got a couple of months ago now. They are one of my favourite counters, I think, that we have in game, and so I will use them at pretty much any possibility at any time in here, but using a lot of the items from the new kitchen clutter kit as well. And and it just sort of shows how kind of useful and usable these items actually are. The fact that I used them, some of them, in my last build, which was a medieval village. If anybody hasn't checked that out, definitely do. Yeah, it was, we've used them quite a few places, and I think the fact that you can makes that pack so much more useful, because going back to what I was saying actually last week was the Enchanted by Nature and how limiting it is compared to this build or this sort of pack where you can use it anywhere. Like, and some of the items you don't even need to have in the kitchen. They can go in a laundry room, they can go in a bathroom, they can go in different places, and they work. So yeah, anyway, run over. Here is the kind of finished kitchen area in here once we get this rug under the dining room table in here as well. Again, I really love it. I think it all just kind of works together, and there is free worktop space in there, so your Sims can obviously cook and things like that, and everything is usable. But yeah, we're now working on this sort of back section over here, where this leads out into the back sort of porch area of the build, and then into what is actually quite a small garden when you actually think about the size of this lot. But I feel like I did take up quite a lot with the front area, which I think because it's on a 30 by 30 lot, I was able to kind of move things around and kind of have this build in the middle. It probably should have been slightly further forward, but hey, it is what it is. And here are some muddy paw prints. We have some dogs in this build, so yeah, you're gonna have muddy paw prints, I'm afraid, into here. But now we're working on the main sort of bedroom for the sim that's going in here. So we have just a single male sim who's an elder, and yeah, again with the sort of accessibility, and I wanted this room to be quite large and areas for him to move around in sort of the future and things like that, as well as obviously he ages in there as well. But I thought maybe they had a picture done, maybe of like their 20th or 25th wedding anniversary or something like that, where they had a big picture done, and yeah, that's what they've got above the bed as a little nod to his wife in there as well. And I do only decorate one bedside table. This is something that is adorable but also incredibly sad to do, but I think it just adds to that sort of gameplay and the lore of the family that I created for this in here. Now, talking of that, I should mention I did not create the 2 pets that go into this build. They are actually done by Pug Owned, so huge shout out to them. Yeah, I do not have the time nor the patience to create pets. I barely spend enough time to create a very basic, boring sim in as it is, so yeah, there's that. But definitely check them out on the gallery and obviously on all social medias as well for their sort of information and their pets. And I think they actually do builds as well, so yeah. Right then, we're kind of finishing off this room in here, so we've got in some couple of sort of big chairs by the fireplace. I feel like this sim is actually going to be an author, or has spent a lot of time maybe as an author, or he does a lot of work with books, let's put it that way. Maybe he's a historian, something like that. But I wanted a space for him that's kind of a little bit more private, where he can read a book with the crackling fire, he can spend time researching something or doing something like that. And now we're jumping up into what I said was kind of the kids' bedroom, or like the grandchildren's bedroom up here. I didn't necessarily know kind of ages or kind of genders or anything for that. I didn't create them, so when you get this, it's kind of just like this free kind of bonus room that I think maybe has been converted into a sort of playroom come sort of bedroom for them in here. And yeah, it's a little bit basic, it's a little bit bare bones, there's not a lot of clutter or anything like that for them, but yeah, it's a room just for the night, for the weekend, or I mean, you could even put in sort of adult guests to sort of stay in here as well. But in my head, it was for sort of the grandchildren in here. And now I wanted to have some of these kind of homework pieces from Parenthood, yeah, up on display. So I've got some shelving and put them up there as well. And yeah, we are nearly done with this room, and we will be jumping out into this sort of hallway come study come office area. Now, I knew we had used the book nook kit, so I wanted to kind of use a lot of that kit in here. So we've kind of got this sort of built-in kind of bookshelf come desk area, and yeah, I think this just makes this whole sort of space really, really nice, especially as if he's an author or, as I say, historian or something like that. He'll be reading lots of books, lots of, maybe these are all the books he's created, I don't know, in here, and then some maybe of like the bestseller list, book covers and things on the wall. I thought that might be a nice touch, especially if he's got to do like web kind of meetings or something like that as a backdrop to sort of say, yeah, look at my success sort of thing over here as well. And now just getting in some sort of clutter and things like that in there. But this build is now up on the gallery, so you can download it right now. If you have enjoyed it, which if you stuck out to this long, I hope you have, then make sure to give it a big thumbs up, and you can subscribe to my channel, and you can find me all on social media as well. My link tree is down below, so definitely check that out, and then you'll never miss a thing, especially if you ring that bell. And I will see you with the next one really, really soon. But until then, stay happy and stay building. Bye everyone!